Have you ever considered the sheer power of a single word? Not just its meaning, but the actual sound it makes, the vibration it sends through the air, through you. It's a concept so profound. It's woven into the very fabric of our oldest stories and spiritual beliefs. In the beginning was the Word. This isn't just a poetic phrase. It's a key to understanding a universal human intuition that sound is a creative force. Think about it. Across countless cultures, separated by vast oceans and millennia, a similar story emerges. The world wasn't built with hands or tools. It was spoken into existence. In ancient Egyptian lore, the god Ptah brought the world into being simply by thinking of the names of things and then speaking them aloud. For the Maya, the creator gods tried and failed to make humanity until they used the power of speech to call forth the first true people from maize. From the Hindu concept of Om, the primordial sound from which the universe meant, to the Aboriginal Australian stories of the Dreamtime, where ancestral beings sang the world into existence, the pattern is unmistakable. This isn't just ancient myth-making. It's a reflection of a deep, observable truth. Sound is vibration. Vibration is energy. And energy is the fundamental building block of everything we see and touch. Modern physics, with its string theory, even postulates that the smallest particles in the universe are not points but tiny, vibrating strings of energy. Different vibrations create different particles, just as different notes create different music. It's a stunning parallel to what our ancestors believed, that the universe is, in essence, a grand symphony. So what does this mean for us, here and now? It means that our own words have power. They aren't just empty sounds. When you speak, you are creating vibrations. You are sending energy out into the world. Think of how a kind word can lift someone's spirits, or how a harsh one can cause genuine pain. That's not just psychology, it's physics. You are literally changing the energy around you and within others. This idea invites us to be more mindful of what we say. If speech is a creative act, what are we creating with our words every day? Are we building worlds of encouragement, understanding, and connection? Or are we contributing to chaos and discord? Every conversation, every comment, every whisper is a small act of creation. The ancient myth of a world spoken into being isn't just a story about the distant past. It's a living principle, a daily practice. It reminds us that the power that made worlds resides within our own voice. When you chant, sing, or even just speak with intention, you are tapping into this primal force. You are aligning yourself with the creative pulse of the universe. The next time you speak, pause for a moment. Feel the vibration in your throat, in the air. Recognize that you are participating in the same ancient, sacred act that, according to myth and legend, brought forth the stars. You are a creator. Your words are your tools. Use them to build something beautiful. Have you ever felt a shiver down your spine when someone says your name? Or felt the power in a room change when a powerful speech is given? This isn't just a modern feeling. For thousands of years, our ancestors believed that words, spoken aloud, held a real, tangible power to shape the world. This wasn't just poetry or storytelling. It was a fundamental force of creation and control. Today, we're going on a journey back in time, to the dawn of civilization, to explore the incredible magic of speech. We'll uncover how the Sumerians used incantations to command spirits, and how the Egyptians believed their gods literally spoke the universe into existence. This is a story of a power you use every single day, a power that ancient priests and pharaohs wielded with awe and reverence. Let's start our journey in Mesopotamia, the land between the rivers, with one of the world's first great civilizations, the Sumerians. For them, everything had a name, and that name was its essence, its soul. To know something's true name was to have power over it. This is a concept that feels almost intuitive, right? Think about fairy tales, where knowing a creature's name gives the hero control. For the Sumerians, this was real life. Their world was filled with spirits, both benevolent and malevolent, and the primary way to interact with them was through spoken incantations. These weren't just simple prayers. A Sumerian incantation was a carefully constructed legal and cosmic argument. A priest, acting as a divine lawyer, would first identify the source of the problem, a demon causing sickness, for example. Then, they would invoke the names of powerful gods, like Enki, the god of wisdom and magic, or Nana, the moon god. By speaking their names, they were summoning their authority. The incantation would then command the malevolent spirit to depart, not just as a request, but as a divine decree, backed by the power of the great gods. The structure of the spell was crucial. The rhythm, the repetition of certain phrases, the very vibrations of the sound spoken were believed to align the priest with the cosmic order, making their words an extension of divine will. They believed that when a word was spoken correctly, it wasn't just a symbol, it was the thing itself, brought to life in that moment. It was the ultimate power of naming. Now, let's travel west, across the desert sands, to the land of the Nile and the pyramids. Ancient Egypt. If the Sumerians saw speech as a tool of command, the Egyptians took it a step further. For them, speech was the very engine of creation. They had a concept called Heka, which is often translated as magic, but it's so much more than that. Heka was the fundamental power that the gods used to create and sustain the universe. And how did they wield Heka? Through speech. According to Egyptian mythology, the creator god, whether it be Adam or Ptah, depending on the tradition, brought the world into being simply by speaking the names of things. He thought of a mountain, said the word mountain, and the mountain appeared. He spoke river, and the Nile began to flow. Every part of creation was a divine utterance made manifest. This means that for the Egyptians, the entire universe was, in essence, a divine sentence being spoken for all of eternity. Words didn't just describe reality. They were asterisk reality. This belief permeated every aspect of their society. The pharaoh wasn't just a king. He was the living embodiment of Horus, and his words carried the weight of Heka. His decrees weren't just laws. They were creative acts that maintained the cosmic balance of order and justice. When he spoke, he was literally reinforcing the fabric of reality against the forces of chaos. The power of his voice was the power that kept the sun rising and the Nile flooding predictably. This belief was so profound that hieroglyphs, the written form of their language, were called medu necher, meaning the words of the gods. To write something down was to make it permanent, to give it an eternal existence. That's why tombs were covered in spells and incantations from the Book of the Dead. Speaking these words, or even just having them written, ensured the deceased's successful journey into the afterlife. So, who were the keepers of this sacred power? In both Sumer and Egypt, this role fell to the priests. They weren't just administrators of temples, they were masters of the spoken word, specialists in divine vibration. Becoming a priest involved years, even decades, of rigorous training. They had to memorize countless hymns, rituals, and incantations with perfect pronunciation and intonation. A single misspoken word could render a powerful ritual useless, or worse, unleash unpredictable and dangerous forces. Think of them as cosmic radio operators, tuning their voices to the specific frequencies of the divine. In Egypt, the lector priest, the Korheb, was a master of the sacred texts. During temple rituals, he would recite the complex liturgies that appeased the gods, recounted their myths, and ensured the continuation of the cosmic cycle. His voice was considered the earthly echo of the Creator God's voice. When he spoke, it was believed that the god was speaking through him. The vibrations of his chant were thought to physically resonate within the temple walls, purifying the space and making it a suitable home. Have you ever wondered about that one symbol, that one sound, you see and hear everywhere you go in India? From the serene temples nestled in the Himalayas to the bustling streets of Mumbai, from yoga studios to ancient scriptures, there's a symbol that resonates through it all. It's the sacred syllable, Om. But what is it, really? Is it just a word? A religious chant? Or is it something much, much deeper? Today, we're going on a journey to uncover the profound mystery of Om, a sound believed to be the very heartbeat of the universe. Let's travel back in time, thousands of years ago, to the era of the Rig Veda, one of humanity's oldest and most sacred texts. The ancient sages, the rishis, weren't just philosophers. They were scientists of consciousness. Through deep meditation, they turned their awareness inward, listening not with their ears, but with their entire being. And what they heard was a subtle, continuous hum, an underlying vibration that seemed to permeate all of existence. They called this primordial sound Anahata Nata. The unstruck sound, a vibration that exists without anything striking together to create it. This cosmic hum, Tay really said, was the source of everything, and they gave it a name, a symbol, a way for us to connect with it. Om. The Mandukya Upanishad, a text dedicated entirely to Om, breaks it down beautifully. It tells us that Om is not just one sound, but a symphony of 4 parts. The A, U, and M sounds, and a 4th, silent part. A, pronounced like Ah, represents the waking state of consciousness, the world we experience with our 5 senses. It's the state of creation, the beginning of all things. When you chant it, you can feel the vibration originating from the back of your throat, near your navel. Then comes U, pronounced like Oo. This sound shifts the vibration forward into the mouth. It symbolizes the dream state, the subconscious mind, a world of thoughts, memories, and emotions that exists beneath the surface of our waking reality. This is the state of preservation, of maintenance. The transition from A to U represents the entire spectrum of our inner and outer worlds, all held within this single sound. The 3rd part is M, a humming sound made with closed lips. Feel that? The vibration resonates in the front of your mouth and up into your skull. M represents the state of deep, dreamless sleep, the state of dissolution. It's where the conscious and subconscious minds dissolve into a state of pure, undifferentiated awareness. It's a return to the source, a state of deep rest and unity. But the most profound part of Om is the 4th one, the silence that follows the M sound. This is Turiya, the 4th state. It's the silence asterisk. After asterisk, the chant has ended. It's not an empty void, but a state of pure consciousness, a background of silent, blissful awareness that underlies the other 3 states. It's the observer, the witness, the unchanging reality that experiences waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. This silence is the true essence of OEM, the destination of the journey. Chanting Om is like launching a boat that carries you across the ocean of experience to the shore of pure, silent consciousness. This brings us to the incredible language of Sanskrit. It's often called Devanagari, the language of the gods, and for good reason. The ancient rishis believed Sanskrit wasn't just invented, it was discovered. They saw it as a vibrational language, where each sound corresponds to a specific energetic pattern or form. Think of it like this. When you say a word in Sanskrit, you are not just communicating an idea. You are literally creating a specific vibration, a shape, in the fabric of the universe. This concept is called Shabda Brahman, which means God, a sound. It's the idea that the universe itself is a manifestation of sound vibration. Have you ever seen sound? That's the study of how sound creates geometric patterns in physical matter, like sand on a vibrating plate. When you play different frequencies, intricate, beautiful geometric shapes appear. The ancient sages understood this principle intuitively. They saw Sanskrit mantras, and especially Om, the sonic forms of sacred geometry. Chanting them was a way to align your own energy field with the harmonic, geometric patterns of the cosmos. When you chant Om, you are creating a specific geometric pattern. The symbol itself, with its beautiful curves and dot, is a visual representation of this. What if the letters we use to form words hold a secret, a blueprint for the universe itself? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most mystical and ancient texts in the world, the Sefer Yetzirah, or the Book of Formation, and exploring the incredible idea that the universe was spoken into existence through the Hebrew alphabet. This isn't just a story about words. It's a journey into the heart of creation, as described in Kabbalah, the mystical tradition of Judaism. Forget what you think you know about magic and spells from fantasy books. We're talking about a profound spiritual technology, a way of understanding the very fabric of reality. The central idea is breathtaking. God didn't just command the world into being with a vague "let there be light." Instead, the tradition teaches that God used the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet as the precise tools, the divine DNA, to construct everything we see and don't see. So, what is the Sefer? Its origins are shrouded in mystery, with some traditions attributing it to the patriarch Abraham himself, dating back almost 4,000 years. While scholars debate its exact age, its influence is undeniable. This short, cryptic text, barely a few pages long, lays out a system where the 22 Hebrew letters are the fundamental elements of creation. Think of it like this. If the universe is a grand structure, the letters are the bricks, the mortar, and the architectural plans all in one. The book divides these 22 letters into 3 distinct groups. First, we have the 3 mother letters, Aleph, Mem, and Shin. These aren't just random letters. They are considered the primary forces, the foundational pillars of existence. Aleph is associated with the element of air, the balance and breath that exists between opposites. Mem represents water, the deep, flowing, and receptive principle. And Shin corresponds to fire, the dynamic, transformative, and upward-striving energy. From these 3 mothers, to text size, everything else originates. They form the primary triad from which all diversity in the cosmos unfolds. Next up are the 7 double letters. These are letters that can be pronounced in 2 different ways, either hard or soft, depending on the context, in the Sefer Yetzirah. These letters, Bet Gemal Dalet Kof, Pei Resh and Tov, correspond to the 7 visible planets of ancient astronomy, the 7 days of the week, and the 7 orifices in the human head. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, and the mouth. Each letter represents a duality, a pair of opposites like life and death, peace and strife, wisdom and folly. This teaches us that the universe is in a constant state of flux, a dynamic dance between opposing forces. These letters are the bridges that connect different states of being, allowing for change and transformation. Finally, we have the 12 simple or elemental letters. These correspond to the 12 months of the year, the 12 signs of the zodiac, and 12 primary human faculties or limbs. These letters are said to govern the more specific and detailed aspects of our world and our experience. They represent the diverse array of qualities that make up the tapestry of life, from sight and hearing to anger and joy. They are the details, the specific expressions of the creative energy flowing from the mother and double letters. So, you have 3 mother letters forming the foundation, 7 double letters creating the framework of duality, and 12 simple letters filling in the intricate details. Together, these 22 letters form the 32 paths of wisdom. Where does the number 32 come from? It's the 22 letters plus the 10, which are the 10 divine emanations, or attributes through which God's infinite essence is revealed. These paths represent the channels of divine energy that flow from the unknowable source of all things down into our physical reality. To walk these paths, mystically speaking, is to trace the process of creation back to its source. This concept completely reframes our understanding of language. In this view, a word isn't just a label for a thing. It is intrinsically connected to the essence of that thing. The Hebrew name for an object is thought to be a formula describing its spiritual and physical makeup. When the Torah says God spoke and the world came into being, Kabbalah takes this literally. The vibrations of these sacred sounds, the combinations of these foundational letters, were the very act of creation. Matter, energy, time, and space are all expressions of these linguistic, spiritual building blocks. Let's think about the letter Aleph for a moment. As the first letter, it's silent. It represents the primordial stillness, the breath before the word, the infinite potential from which all sound and form emerge. It is the unmanifest, the pure consciousness that underlies everything. When you see the letter Aleph, you're not just seeing a symbol. You're being invited to contemplate the very origin of existence, the singular point from which the magnificent complexity of the universe began to unfold. This isn't just abstract philosophy. It has profound implications for our own lives. If we are created in the image of God, as the tradition teaches, then we too possess a creative power through our own speech. Our words don't just describe our reality. They helped create it. This is a call to be mindful of what we say, to use our language to build, to heal, and to bring harmony, rather than to destroy or cause division. Every word we utter sends a vibration out into the world, contributing to the overall tapestry of creation. The Sefer Yetzirah and its teachings on the creative alphabet invite us to see the world not as a collection of random objects, but as a meaningful, interconnected text, a divine poem. Every mountain, every star, every person is a word. Have you ever wondered where some of the most profound ideas in Western thought came from? Ideas that have shaped not just philosophy, but religion and our very understanding of the universe. Today, we're going on an incredible journey back in time, to ancient Greece, to uncover a concept so powerful it echoed through centuries and found a central place in Christianity. We're talking about the logos, the divine logic, the cosmic reason, the shaping word. Let's start our journey in the bustling coastal city of Ephesus. Around 500 BC, here lived a mysterious and profound thinker named Heraclitus. You might have heard his famous saying, "You cannot step into the same river twice." But Heraclitus gave us something much deeper. He looked at the world and saw constant change, a state of perpetual flux. Fire, for him, was the ultimate symbol of this change, always transforming, always in motion. But amidst this seemingly chaotic dance of change, Heraclitus saw an underlying order, a hidden harmony. He called this principle the Logos. The Logos was the universal law, the divine reason that governed everything. It was the logic that ensured the cosmos didn't just collapse into chaos. Day follows night. Seasons change in a cycle. Opposites like hot and cold, wet and dry, exist in a balanced tension. This balance, this order, was the work of the Logos. For Heraclitus, the Logos was a divine, intelligent force woven into the very fabric of reality. It was something you could understand, not just with your mind, but with your soul. The wise person was one who lived in accordance with this cosmic reason. Now, let's travel forward about a century to Athens, the cradle of Western philosophy, and meet the legendary Plato. Plato, a student of Socrates, was obsessed with finding what was true, permanent, and real in a world that, like Heraclitus saw, was always changing. His answer was the famous theory of forms. Plato proposed that for everything we see in our physical world, a chair, a tree, an act of justice, there exists a perfect, eternal, and unchanging form or idea of it in a higher, spiritual realm. Our world is just a shadow, a dim reflection of that perfect reality. So, where does the Logos fit into Plato's world? While he didn't use the term Logos in the exact same way Heraclitus did, his philosophy is deeply connected to the idea of a divine, ordering intelligence. For Plato, the highest of all forms was the form of the good. This was the ultimate source of all other forms, the source of all reality, truth, and goodness. The form of the good illuminates everything, allowing our minds to understand the truth, just as the sun allows our eyes to see the physical world. This concept of a supreme, intelligent principle that gives structure and meaning to the universe is a powerful evolution of the Logos. Plato also introduced the idea of the demiurge, a divine craftsman or creator. In his work Timaeus, Plato describes how the demiurge looks to the perfect, eternal forms as a blueprint and shapes the chaotic, pre-existing matter of the universe into an ordered cosmos. This demiurge is a being of pure reason, bringing logic and purpose to creation. So, you can see how Plato's ideas built upon Heraclitus' foundation, from a universal law to a divine mind and a creative force that intelligently designs the universe based on a perfect pattern. The idea continued to evolve. After Plato, a school of philosophy known as Stoicism rose to prominence. For the Stoics, the Logos was front and center. They saw the Logos as a divine fire, a rational spirit that permeated the entire universe. It was both the mind of God and the law of nature. Everything that happens for a reason according to the Logos. The key to a good life for a Stoic was apatheia, a state of calm tranquility achieved by accepting fate and living in agreement with the rational order of the universe. To live according to nature was to live according to the Logos, according to God. This brings us to a fascinating bridge between Greek philosophy and Jewish thought. A man named Philo of Alexandria, living in the 1st century AD, Philo was a devout Jew who was also deeply educated in Greek philosophy. He saw incredible parallels between the two traditions. He wanted to show that the wisdom of the Hebrew scriptures, the Torah, was in harmony with the best of Greek thought. How did he do it? Through the concept of the Logos. Philo identified the Greek Logos with the creative word of God found in the book of Genesis. When the Bible says, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light, Philo saw this as God acting through his Logos. For Philo, the Logos was God's instrument of creation, the intermediary between the transcendent, unknowable God and the material world. The Logos was the firstborn Son of God, the divine mind containing the patterns of all creation. Much like Plato's realm of forms, Philo masterfully synthesized these two worlds, paving the way for a monumental shift in religious thought. And that shift comes into full, brilliant focus with the opening of the Gospel of John in the Christian New Testament. Think about how it begins. The words are some of the most famous ever written. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made when John wrote the Word. The Greek term he used was logos. For anyone in the Greco-Roman world, whether they were a student of Plato, a Stoic, or familiar with the writings of Philo, this would have been electrifying. John is taking this profound philosophical concept of divine reason, the creative principle, the ordering force of the universe, and making a radical declaration. He identifies this Logos not as an abstract principle or a lesser divine being, but as a person. Jesus Christ. John's Gospel presents Jesus as the embodiment of the divine Logos. He is the logic and wisdom of God made flesh. He is the one through whom the universe was created, the perfect image of the Father, the one who brings light and life into the world. This was a revolutionary fusion of Greek philosophy and Hebrew theology. The abstract, cosmic principle of the philosophers was now a living, breathing person who walked among humanity. The Christian concept of the Logos is the culmination of this incredible intellectual and spiritual journey. It starts with Heraclitus. Seeing a hidden order in the chaos, it's refined by Plato into a divine mind with a perfect blueprint for reality. It's embraced by the Stoics as the rational soul of the universe. It's synthesized by Philo as God's creative agent. And finally, in Christianity, it becomes the ultimate revelation. The divine word, the very logic and love of God, taking on human form to reveal God to us directly. It's a powerful testament to how ideas travel, transform, and find new meaning across cultures and centuries. The quest of the ancient Greeks to understand the order of the cosmos led them to the Logos. a concept that would ultimately be used to explain the very nature of God in one of the world's video opens with evocative, mysterious visuals, flickering runes carved in stone, ancient Chinese calligraphy scrolls, a misty mountain landscape. Have you ever wondered if the letters we use are more than just symbols on a page? What if they were alive? What if they held the very power to shape reality? Today, we're journeying back in time, delving into the mystical world of ancient scripts, where language wasn't just for communication, it was magic. Let's start our journey in the misty fjords of the north, with the Vikings and their enigmatic runes. The word rune itself means secret or whisper. To the Norse people, these weren't just letters for writing sagas. Each rune was a living, breathing force of nature, a key to a cosmic mystery. Take Fehu, the first rune. It represents cattle, wealth, and abundance. But it's more than that. Carving it, speaking its name, was an act of invoking prosperity, of aligning oneself with the flow of universal energy, or Thorasus. The thorn, it's a symbol of giants, of chaotic force, but also of breakthrough and protection. Using it was like harnessing a thunderstorm, dangerous, but immensely powerful if you knew what you were doing. The Norse didn't just write with runes, they lived them. They were carved on long ships for safe passage, on amulets for protection, and on gravestones to guide the spirit. Each character was a direct line to the gods, a channel for the raw, untamed power of the cosmos. They believed the universe sang a song, and the runes were its notes. Learning them was learning the language of creation itself. Now, let's travel across continents and millennia to the ancient heart of China. Here, we find a different kind of sacred script, but one with an equally profound connection to the universe. Chinese characters, or Hanzi, are not just abstract symbols. They are pictograms, elegant drawings that capture the essence of what they represent. The character for Mountain Shan looks like 3 peaks rising towards the sky. The character for River Chuan flows like water. But this is just the beginning. For ancient Chinese sages, these characters were a microcosm of the entire cosmic order. The act of calligraphy wasn't just art. It was a spiritual practice, a form of meditation. The calligrapher had to balance the ink, the water, the pressure of the brush, and the breath in their own body. This process mirrored the grand cosmic balance of yin and yang, the interplay of dark and light, feminine and masculine, earth and heaven. Each stroke had to be deliberate, imbued with ki or life force. A perfectly written character was believed to harmonize the environment around it, bringing balance and good fortune. Think of the concept of the mandate of heaven, where the emperor's right to rule was connected to cosmic harmony. This harmony was reflected and maintained through rituals, language, and, most beautifully, through the sacred art of writing. The characters were not just words. They were vessels of cosmic balance, small talismans that held the blueprint of a well-ordered universe. From the visible power of runes and the balanced elegance of Hanzi, we now venture into a realm beyond form, into the profound silence of the Tao. In Taoism, the ultimate truth, the Tao itself, is famously described as something that cannot be spoken. The opening line of the Tao Te Ching states, "The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name." This presents a fascinating paradox. Stood in an ancient cathedral or temple and felt a strange vibration, a deep hum that seems to resonate not just in your ears, but in your very bones. It's a feeling many have described, a sense of profound connection to something ancient and powerful. What if that feeling isn't just your imagination? What if these sacred spaces were deliberately designed as massive musical instruments, tuned to the very frequencies of the cosmos? Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of architecture, exploring the connection between ancient music, sacred geometry, and the symphony of the universe. Let's start our journey in ancient Greece with a name you probably know, Pythagoras. We remember him for his theorem about right-angled triangles, but his true passion was music and its relationship with mathematics. Pythagoras believed that the universe was a grand harmonious system, a cosmos ordered by numbers. He discovered that musical intervals, so relationships between notes, could be expressed as simple numerical ratios. For example, an octave has a ratio of 2-1, a perfect fifth, 3-2, and a perfect fourth, 4-3. These weren't just abstract numbers. To Pythagoras and his followers, they were the fundamental building blocks of reality. They saw these same ratios in the movements of the planets, the sun, and the moon. This led to the breathtaking concept of the musica universalis, or the music of the spheres. The idea was that each celestial body, in its orbit, emits a unique sound, a note on a cosmic scale. Together, they create a divine, unheard symphony that governs the universe. We can't hear it, they argued, because we've been immersed in it since birth. It's the ultimate background music of existence. This idea wasn't confined to Greece. Ancient cultures all over the world seem to have had an intuitive understanding of the power of sound and frequency. Think of the deep, chanting monks in Tibetan monasteries, the powerful OEM and Vedic traditions, or the Gregorian chants that filled medieval European cathedrals. These weren't just forms of worship. They were technologies of consciousness, designed to alter brainwave states, induce meditative trances, and facilitate a connection to the divine. The key was resonance. Resonance is the phenomenon where a vibration in one object can cause a similar vibration in another. When you sing a specific note in a shower, you might notice the walls seem to vibrate and amplify that one particular tone. That's resonance. Now, imagine that on a monumental scale. This brings us to the temples themselves. Researchers in the field of archaeoacoustics have been visiting ancient sites around the world. From the megalithic chambers of Malta and Ireland to the pyramids of Egypt and the Mayan temples of Central America, and they're finding something astonishing. Many of these structures appear to have been intentionally designed with specific resonant frequencies. For instance, studies at the Hypogeum of Chalcedony in Malta, a 5,000-year-old underground temple, revealed that the chambers resonate strongly at a frequency of around 110 Hz. What's so special about 110 Hz? Well, studies in neuroscience have shown that brain activity can shift to match this frequency, potentially inducing a trance-like state or heightened creative thinking. The male voice, when chanting, naturally produces harmonics around this frequency. Is it possible that the builders of this ancient temple discovered this effect and engineered the space to amplify it, creating an environment perfectly suited for ritual and altered states of consciousness? It doesn't stop there. In Ireland, megalithic sites like Newgrong, a massive passage tomb older than Stonehenge, and the Egyptian pyramids also exhibit powerful resonant properties. When you make a low humming sound inside its central chamber, the entire structure seems to come alive, the sound swirling and amplifying in a way that feels almost otherworldly. Similarly, researchers have proposed that the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid of Giza was not a tomb but a sonic chamber, designed to resonate at specific frequencies. Some theories even link these frequencies back to Pythagorean concepts in the Earth's own natural frequencies, known as the Schumann resonances. Could it be that these ancient architects weren't just building shelters or tombs, but were creating massive resonant cavities designed to tune human consciousness to the frequencies of the Earth and the cosmos? Let's consider the mechanics of this. The materials used, massive stone blocks, are excellent conductors of vibration. The specific shapes of the chamber's domes, apses, and long passages are not accidental. They function like the body of a guitar or violin, shaping and amplifying sound waves. The precise geometry of these temples, often based on the same sacred mathematical ratios Pythagoras studied, seems to be a blueprint for sound. It suggests an incredibly advanced understanding of physics and acoustics. Long before the disciplines were formally named, they were building with stone, but they were sculpting with sound. The goal may have been to create a space where the boundary between the physical and the spiritual dissolves, where the human voice, chanting in unison, could resonate with the stone, and the stone, in turn, could resonate with the very fabric of the universe. This music of the spheres concept, once dismissed as mystical fantasy, is now being re-examined through the lens of modern science. We now know that everything in the universe vibrates. From the smallest subatomic particle to the largest galaxy, everything has its own resonant frequency. The sun produces acoustic waves, pulsars emit rhythmic radio signals, and even the gravitational waves from colliding black holes create a sort of chirp that we can now detect. The universe is far from silent. It's a cacophony of cosmic vibrations, So, was Pythagoras right? In a way, yes. The cosmos is filled with a symphony of frequencies, a true music of the spheres. The ancient architects may not have had radio telescopes or laser interferometers, but through intuition, observation, and ritual practice, they may have figured out how to tap into it. They built their temples, not just as places of worship, but as cosmic listening posts, as tuning forks designed to align the human spirit with the grand, universal harmony. So, the next time you find yourself in an ancient, sacred place, take a moment. Close your eyes, be still, and listen. Listen not just with your ears, but with your whole body. Try humming a low, steady note, and feel the vibrations in the air, in the stone beneath your feet. You might just feel a flicker of that ancient technology at work. You might feel the stones begin to sing and sense. Have you ever considered that the universe might be speaking to you? Not in a metaphorical sense, but literally. What if the very fabric of reality, from the smallest strand of your DNA to the grandest cosmic structures, is built upon a language that looks a lot like mathematics, sounds like music, and feels like ancient wisdom? Today, we re-dive in deep into a mind-bending idea. That language is unjust something we use to describe the world. It is the world. Let's start with a bold statement. Language is mathematics in disguise. Think about it. When we form a sentence, we're following a set of rules, a syntax. Nouns, verbs, adjectives, they all have specific places and functions, just like numbers and operators in an equation. The cat sat on the mat is a grammatically correct statement, a solved equation. Matheon sat. Kathy is gibberish, an equation that doesn't balance. This underlying structure, this logical framework, is universal. Noam Chomsky, the famous linguist, proposed the idea of a universal grammar, suggesting that all human languages share a common, innate structural foundation. It's as if our brains are pre-wired with the fundamental axioms of linguistic mathematics. But this concept goes far beyond human speech. Let's look at the code of life itself. DNA. Your DNA is a massive text, a book containing the instructions for building and operating you. This text is written in an alphabet of just 4 letters, A, C, G, and T. These letters are arranged into 3-letter words, called codons, which specify which amino acids to build. It's a language, pure and simple. And what's fascinating is that this language is digital. It's a biochemical information system, eerily similar to the binary code that runs our computers. The pioneers of modern genetics, like Francis Crick, immediately saw this parallel. They understood they weren't just studying biology. They were deciphering a language, a set of instructions passed down through billions of years. This isn't just a metaphor. It's a functional reality. The logic, the syntax, the sheer volume of information stored in a microscopic strand of DNA points to a profound, mathematical elegance at the heart of life. Now, let's add another layer. Sound. How do we turn the silent, abstract symbols of language into something we can hear and feel? Through vibration. Every word you speak is a complex waveform, a unique frequency signature. This is where things get really interesting, connecting our modern understanding with ancient mystical traditions. Have you ever heard of It's the study of visible sound and vibration. When you vibrate a surface, like a metal plate covered in sand, and play a specific frequency, the sand doesn't just shake randomly. It arranges itself into beautiful, intricate geometric patterns. Simple, pure tones create simple, elegant shapes. Like circles and hexagons, more complex sounds create more complex, mundali-like patterns. What does this tell us? It shows a direct, tangible link between frequency, sound, and geometry form. The ancient world seemed to know this intuitively. Many creation myths, from the Hindu concept of Om being the primordial sound that created the universe, to the biblical phrase "in the beginning was the Word," suggest that creation itself was a sonic event. And God said, "Let there be light." The saying implies a vibration, a frequency that brought form into existence. These weren't just poetic stories. They were attempts to describe a fundamental principle of reality. Sound creates form. When we look at the symmetrical patterns of a snowflake, the spiral of a galaxy, or the petals of a flower, are we not seeing frozen music? Are we not witnessing the geometric residue of a cosmic vibration? An echo of that first word? This is where the line between ancient mysticism and modern physics begins to blur beautifully. Let's talk about string theory. While it's still a theoretical framework, it's one of the leading candidates for a theory of everything. And what is its core premise? That the fundamental constituents of the universe, the particles that make up everything you see and are not point-like. Dots. Instead, they are tiny, one-dimensional, vibrating strings. And just like the strings on a guitar, the way these fundamental strings vibrate determines what they become. One vibration pattern produces an electron. Another produces a photon. A different one, a quark. Think about that for a second. The entire universe, in all its complexity and diversity, is essentially a grand cosmic symphony. Every particle, every force, every bit of matter and energy is a different note played on these infinitesimal strings. The laws of physics are the rules of harmony governing this symphony. So, when ancient traditions spoke of the universe being born from a sound or a word, were they perhaps tapping into this same fundamental truth, describing it with the language and concepts available to them? Modern physics, with its complex mathematics, is essentially rediscovering this ancient principle. Reality is vibrational. Everything is a frequency. So we have language as a mathematical structure. We have DNA as a biological language. We have sound creating geometric forms. And we have physics telling us the universe is made of vibrating strings. Do you see the pattern emerging? It's all interconnected. The abstract logic of mathematics finds its voice in sound, its form in geometry, and its ultimate expression in the very code of life and the fabric of the cosmos. This isn't just a cool intellectual exercise. It has profound implications for how we see ourselves and our place in the universe. If the universe is built on a language, it implies that it's not a random, meaningless accident. It suggests information, intelligence, and coherence are woven into the very fabric of existence. The word cosmos itself comes from the Greek kosmos, meaning order or harmony. The ancients saw an ordered, beautiful universe, not a chaotic one. When we study mathematics, we are learning the grammar of reality. When a musician composes a beautiful melody, they are tapping into the universal harmonies that string theory describes. Have you ever had a thought that felt so real, so vivid, that it almost seemed to have a life of its own? What if I told you that wasn't just your imagination? What if every single thought you have is an act of creation, a ripple sent out into the universe? This isn't just a philosophical idea. It's a powerful truth that ancient traditions have understood for millennia. They spoke of a primordial sound, a divine vibration that brought everything into existence. And here's the most amazing part. We, as humanity, are the echo of that divine sound. Think about it. Our voices, our music, our stories, they're all echoes of that first creative impulse. But it goes deeper than that. The most powerful language, the one that truly shapes our reality, isn't spoken with our mouths. It's the language of our thoughts, our intentions, and our feelings. This is the language of the gods, the original code of creation, and it lives on right here, inside each and every one of us. You are a creator, wielding the same power that forged the stars and painted the nebulae. When you focus your mind on a goal, when you pour your heart into a dream, you're not just wishing. You are speaking that divine language. You are sculpting energy, giving form to the formless. Every moment of inspiration, every spark of an idea, is a direct connection to that source of all creation. We've been taught to see ourselves as small, as mere specks in a vast cosmos. But the truth is, the cosmos resides within you. You are a walking, talking universe of potential. So, how do we become more fluent in this inner language? It starts with awareness. Pay attention to your thoughts. Are they building worlds you want to live in, or are they tearing them down? Your mental landscape is the blueprint for your physical reality. Nurture your inner world like a sacred garden. Plant seeds of love, gratitude, and possibility. Weed out the thoughts of doubt and fear. This isn't about ignoring challenges. It's about consciously choosing your creative focus. This power has always been yours. It's not something you need to acquire. It's something you need to remember. You are a living, breathing echo of the divine sound, a co-creator of this magnificent reality. The language of the gods isn't a forgotten relic of the past. It's the silent, powerful hum of your own consciousness, waiting for you to listen and to speak your world into being. Start today. Choose a thought, a single, beautiful thought, and hold it in your heart. Feel it, believe in it, and watch as the universe rearranges itself to match your creation. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the power of our minds.